we did an interview with Marquise Wilson. He's out of Texas. He's at FFL, and he's posted some cool stuff on the internet. So I was like, hey, we should talk about NFA and guns. So we interviewed him the other day, and like straight, like not laughing, no kind of interaction as far as, just answering questions, but straight laced. We get to the end and go, okay, so, how can, everybody look up, find you, look you up. And he's like, yeah, I'm on feetfinder.com. Straight as can be. Like, I was like, oh. Yeah, I was like, what'd you say? And then he laughed. I'm like, you got it. It was perfect. It was comical.
Facebook and Magnolia Armory _ You can find me on Feet Finder, everything like that. I'm just playing.
Feet Finder?
I'm just playing.
I was like, wait, what? Did he really just say Feet Finder? Like, wrong show.
But yeah.
Meet the Pressers with Matt Mallory and Clint Necro. Brought to you by Public Safety and Education and the Trigger Pressers Union.
Meet the Pressers is brought to you by Mantis. Mantis X helps shooters suck less. Next Level Training, makers of CERT training products. Henry Repeating Arms, made in America or not made at all. XS Sights, fast sights in any light. Meet the Pressers is also brought to you by these fine companies, shows, organizations, and our Patreon members. Thank you.
Hey everybody, Matt Mallory here with Meet the Pressers. We are at SHOT Show 2025 in Las Vegas. I've got the grand poobah of Carry Trainer, Mickey Schuch, and we're going to talk about training and lube, all that kind of fun stuff that actually didn't come out well, but we'll go with it. How are you, sir? Good to have you here.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
So finally got to catch up. We've been talking back and forth. Things first time last year we met in person.
Yes,
you walked up and made fun of my spiky
I
hair.
didn't make fun of it. It's very recognizable.
I was going to tag this episode that press checks are for pussies, but I wasn't sure if that would go over well, especially being that we entered the beginning of this as like, let's fight, and you'd probably kick my ass. So anyway,
You should have asked your last guest if he thought press checks were for pussies.
Who did I ask? We interviewed Michael Bain the other day, and he said they're for pussies.
He did not.
You did?
I did not.
Got him on camera.
I mean, to me, it goes like to Clint Smith, Thunder Ranch. The concept of administrative manipulation of the gun at home.
Absolutely.
Here's the deal. I get up, I load the gun, I rack the gun, I put the gun in my holster. I'll never have to press check it because you know what? If it's in my holster, it's loaded.
Right.
And then when I unload it, then to me, and I got that from Clint Smith on administrative manipulation of a firearm.
Right.
And you pull a press check at a gun site, somebody hit you in the head.
Well,
Did he?
he did.
All right.
Well, okay, so let's open with that. Let's open with that. I'm fine with, and I think we talked about this a little bit. I'm fine with press checks if they're done in the right context. Right?
Sure. I mean, if you pulled your gun out right now,
press check.
that would be very weird.
Right. Absolutely. So if somebody's doing it when they pull the gun out of the holster, or if they're doing it just to do it, and I think that's why I just don't like it or profess it because of that. Because it becomes
like picking your nose.
Right.
There's a time and a place, and sometimes you have to.
That's actually very valid.
I just came up with that. Actually.
No, that's.
But, I mean, I think that it's weird. I'm downstairs last night at the Circle Bar, joking and smoking with everybody. I don't smoke, but talking with a friend of mine, and we have now become like the old social media guys here.
Yeah.
Me and him were talking, and he's a Maricopa County full-time SWAT guy.
Nice.
And 10 or 12 years ago, it was social media with like gun stuff blew up. And so you'd be down there, and it was like, all those guys that burned out or couldn't make a living, so they can't afford to come out here and blow a bunch of cash to sit and drink beer and take selfies. And there was this weird thing, these fads come and go, like your hair or my hair. Well, I mean, like we've got like boy haircuts, right?
I call it a shtick.
But
we all have shticks.
But it's also like we go to a barber shop, or you use a Flowbee.
I cut my own.
All right. You remember Flowbee, Dave?
Yeah, Flowbee was old. Yeah, Dave's old too.
Hey there, it's Lenny Magill with the Glock Store Performance and Custom Shop right here in the amazing Nashville studios today. And I've got some breaking news, some amazing news, some shocking news, to be quite honest.
Welcome to New Products and Ideas, the program that takes you around the world in search of new inventions, unique ideas, and innovative products, and shows you how to take an invention from concept to the marketplace. Today, you'll see a revolutionary new haircutting invention that is sweeping across the country. How to save hundreds of dollars cash, save time, and have fun doing it. And how to take care of your family's haircutting needs for the rest of your lives, all with one ingenious invention, the Flowbee vacuum haircutting system. It's all coming up right here, right now on New Products and Ideas.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was like this thing where all of a sudden you just see guys like they'd go to holster and they go,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a joke. It became like this weird nervous habit. I'd see it on the line, and you'd hear, and it was this weird constant thing. Everybody cut forward serrations and slides, and then they began doing all their manipulations
by the muzzle.
Yeah, they do a slide lock load. They'd grab the front serrations, and it just became this like weird thing that happened. And that, I think, created a bunch of people hating this idea.
Right.
I don't teach anybody to just randomly do a chamber check.
Yeah, and I'll do it every once in a while, very minimal, but I'll do it. So I'm not saying I never do it.
Yeah.
But I think people do it too much, and it irks me.
It'd be totally weird.
It is, and I think that is. It's overused, and in some sense, like personally, I don't want to put my hand near the front of the gun. So doing a press check at the back of the gun, well, now you got to bring your head up over to see over your hand. So I get why they put their hand up front, but now they're putting their hand up front and close to the muzzle.
Yeah, that's all weird.
The serrations are there for reasons, just like serrations on the front of the trigger guard, but I'm not a fan of putting your finger on the front of the trigger guard because I've seen people put their finger through the trigger guard thinking they're pulling back on the front of the trigger guard and make the gun go off.
Sure.
So that's why when I see somebody do it in the class, I immediately nix them. Like, listen, this is why. This is the reason people do it. Competition shooters do it, and I get it. Hold the muzzle down, give a little bit more leverage. But I don't do it because I've seen bad things happen with it, period.
There's nuances to things, too. Like, you were a police officer for a long time. I'm sure you got away with things. Maybe got away with the wrong word. You understood a situation different than a guy that was on the job a week. Yeah, you pull somebody over 20 years into the job, you're probably aware of possible problems, but you were not adrenalized. I'm sure the first week you pulled somebody over, you're like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this. Yeah. Thinking of all the bad things, touching the rear of the car, but you did all the things you were
told to do.
Right.
You never question it because you want to pass FTO.
There's nuances, and I think it's a weird thing to argue against. And I always ask, the video that I recently posted was from a training event, and I named a bunch of people. One of them was a SIF guy from 5th Special Forces Group, Z. Durham. One of them was Paul Sharp, a lifelong SWAT cop from Elgin, Illinois. One of them was a U.S. Army colonel in a combat role for 20-something years. One of them was a SWAT cop from Southern California and a combat veteran Marine. And I purposely said all their names because they were behind me, just so that, hey, do you ever do this? And then you get people that are like, that's dumb. Okay, so all of these people that did this in real life and death situations, dozens or hundreds of times, and again, nuance, you don't just play with your muzzle. So,
right, yeah, for sure.
That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, there's lots of things, like we evolve in certain things and new things come out, like the front of the trigger guard and, press checking. We don't do the cup and saucer anymore, doing 2 thumbs forward. And even there's evolutions of that, as some people say, kick that back thumb straight up. And, Tom Gibbons teaches as well, as you're not doing your 2 thumbs forward, you do both thumbs up. So there's different variations of even the grip going from revolver to semi-automatic. What are some other ones that you can think of? There's other ones that we've taled about.
What are we talking about specifically?
Like that. Like, we don't do cup and saucer. The press check, we've talked about that. Slap, rack, and roll. You hear controversy with that. Like, you're going to slap, rack, and roll to clear a malfunction. Some people say, well, why are you slapping the magazine? That's wasting time.
So that to me is stupid, though, too. If we're looking at a raw performance thing, sure, chances are if you've got a high enough level of shooting skill, you probably didn't drop the magazine, except so you're out in the street scuffling around with your pistol. You've done it, I've done it. Just training, the mag comes loose.
Yeah.
If I don't, I think you just had John in here. You talk to guys like that have been on a firing line for 50 years, 40 years.
That's what he said.
And then nothing fixes the gun until you seat the mag. And so what? I always start with this. What's the desired end state? Where are we trying to go? Yeah. I don't care. I'm not trying to win a competition, but you have to be able to shoot quickly, efficiently. I got to be able to get the gun out, all the basic mechanics of marksmanship. So everything I'm training's got to support the end result of pointing a gun at somebody and pressing the trigger.
Sure.
So if this thing's loose and my training is just racking the
Not gonna
slide.
fix it.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it seems like we've solved these things.
Yeah.
I was down at Seymour's booth yesterday. Seymour Sights, the inventors of red dots, really, talking to Ira, who's deceased, rest in peace, talking to his wife, and I'm looking up Todd Jarrett. He's been doing this stuff for you. Probably met Todd over the years. He just won the world rifle shoot last year. He's still super competitive. What is he, 60 something now?
Yep.
And then Eric from France, who is the winningest pistol shooter in the world, and he does the thing that we teach nobody to do. He hooks the front of the trigger guard. He is literally the winningest pistol shooter right now. Right. Like the best guy on top of the world. I've got another friend from home, and also named Eric, that holds the pistol like this, like you would never
locked over like a revolver.
Shoots for Team USA, for IPSC, travels the world as a grandmaster. And go ahead.
So with that, would you say, and you might know more because you obviously know them better than I do, would you say that that's something that was originally they just weren't taught to do it a different way, so they just did it whatever way they thought was ergonomically right or whatever way felt right for them, and then they got so good with it that way? Being that it's industry to do it this way, not necessarily that you can't do it another way. I think that's a better way to say it.
I think it's a principle. This is the way I think about it. Deadlifting, making pizza. Principles, not techniques. You might not have the same oven as the other pizza maker, but what's the principles are temperature and humidity and all that stuff. If I'm doing a deadlift, we were with a guy last night that was 6'8", 385 pounds. He's a copper here in Vegas Metro. His ability to pick a bar up doing a deadlift mechanically.
He'd probably pick you up like that.
Yeah, you or I have to be super careful. We've got, fairly normal sized frames. This guy's, he put his ring in her hand, and it literally looked, am I exaggerating? I mean, it looked like this, his wedding ring. So, which I didn't like him doing that.
It was kind of weird.
But like, I can't do anything about it.
It's like,
but the principle has to be the same. So they're principles of leverage and friction and all that, and then hand strength.
That's a good point. I think the internet, I was joking. We're joking around as far as I think you're serious about my hair, but I was joking around as far as the
I
press
like
check.
your hair.
There's certain.
I wouldn't do it. Looks good on you. Eh?
Thank you. Appreciate it. I got a sticker to prove it. There's certain things on the internet that people you just want to stop touching.
I'm not going to do
But
it.
there's certain things on the internet people get in fights over, right? And that's, to be honest, that's probably one of the reasons I haven't done as much like videos of training. But my media guys and I were talking. I need to do some more videos of me teaching classes, because that's really what has students coming to me is the classes that I teach. They love them. They're great. Is it going to be the same way you do it? No. Is it going to be the same way somebody else does it? Like I was just talking to her outside about the John Farnham, Masad Ayub, and Tom Gibbons, right? I've had all three of them on the show. We've had on the show multiple times, trained with all of them, taking classes from them. And there's just certain things that I've come up with that I've said, oh, that's genius. I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal that. I'm like, cool, awesome. They're using my, idioms and stuff that I come up with. But there's certain things in their trainings, and I'm like, I don't buy into that, right? And it's not that they're.
Could you give me an example?
I won't say which ones which, right? I don't want to do that.
Is an old friend. I consider him
They're all
a
friends.
mentor.
They're all friends. I got their cell numbers. I know them. I see them at the shows. They know me by name, just like you, right?
You ever send them pictures or anything?
Yeah, but from Feet Finder. So Feet Finder. Anyway, I won't say which one's which, but for instance, well, I give that one away. I'm still trying to buy into the 2 thumbs up that Tom Gibbons does, right? But I mean, right? If you can shoot with your 2 thumbs up like Tom teaches, then is it wrong? It might another way. And based on his background and experience, he's had enough students do it that way, and he obviously got good performance from them. So who am I to say, right? But if I try it and it doesn't work for me, I've done it this way with 2 thumbs forward for so long, and it works, then is the way I'm doing it wrong, right?
There's a guy named Dr. Middlebrooks. I don't know if that name rings a bell.
No.
Dr. is, at one point, he was like, could have been one of the greats. He was winning like state championships and stuff in combat shooting sports. He ended up with some health problems. He got Lyme disease, and he couldn't move.
It's terrible.
But he was part of his shooting instructor course. What was his program called? Fist Fire. So in the 90s, he did a program called Fist Fire. To pass his instructor course, you had to shoot from the hip pepper poppers at like 75 yards.
Wow.
And it wasn't sit and like,
right,
it was this.
Quick draw.
Pa-pa-ch,
75 yards?
You had to clear a plate rack at 10 yards from the hip. He had a par time of like 4 seconds from the hip. And I've shot with him. I've trained with him. He was really one of the guys that started making all of this thumbs forward stuff like well known in that space. Other guys were figuring it out, Rob Latham and other dudes. But he has a great way of explaining it's still push-pull.
Yeah.
You're still doing the same things. Where your thumbs are doesn't really matter as long as you're not imparting...
The slide.
Yeah. I think guys like Tom, who's trained so many thousands of people, you see enough failures. You know, let's just get those damn things out of the way, and then we can just get back to training.
Right.
And I think that's the problem where you have issues with a dogma is somebody has seen something. You're a cop. I have a friend that's a cop that shot a guy. Guy falls to the ground. My friend, the police officer, goes to render aid to another officer who was hit. All of a sudden, bad guy starts shooting him again. He shoots him on the ground, ends the fight.
Yeah.
So he, for the last 20-something years, has trained people, hit the target, track to the ground, final sight picture, and you saw this for 15 years. You probably were trained it or seen it in class.
Teach it.
And this guy was one of the guys that pushed it because it happened to him one time.
Yep.
But it was for such a real thing that now we're teaching this to everybody.
Right. Well, and to that point, too, you made me think of another thing. I like to say if I see it happen one time, it can happen to anybody, right? So with the chances of it happening ever again, maybe minimal, but it happened to one person, and verifiable, not like a story you hear over the campfire, everybody's drunk, but literally, like if it's happened to somebody. We had Jerry Mitchell on the show years ago, and he was saying at the range. So what's the craziest thing you've seen at the range? And he said somebody was showboating. I'm like, okay, what do you mean by showboating? And he goes, take the magazine out, rack the slide, and catch the round in midair.
There you go.
And I was like, okay, I've done that a few times.
Every IPSC USPSA guy does it.
And he's like, except for this time, he short stroked the slide, so the round came out, the ejector actually hit the primer, and it blew up right in his face.
Seen it happen too.
And I was like,
I've seen it happen too.
don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so am I ever going to do? No. And if I see somebody do it, I'm going to be like, hey, did you ever watch the episode of Meet the Pressers with Jerry Mitchell? Yeah, you should watch that one because he talks about the round blowing up in somebody's face like that.
I saw it happen.
Yeah, so you got that. I think another thing. This is great. This is good content. I think another thing would be the bridge between self-defense and competition shooting, right? Because some of the things really might not. I mean, they're gonna work, right? You can get lucky, but personally, I don't want to get lucky. Maybe on the range shooting in the competition, but on the street, I don't want to get lucky. I want to have the proficiency.
Sure.
And another thing I'll say to my students, I don't care how Billy badass you think I am, I can be B, right? Good guy has a bad, or bad guy has a good day. I have a bad day.
Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson got beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris Kyle.
And I follow up with that. I go, let's ask Chris Kyle. Oh wait, we can't.
Right. Sure.
So it's that aspect of you just have a lot of training, as much training as you can get. Good training, right? Good training, not YouTube University training, except for our show and his. So you get the good training, and hopefully that training kicks in when you need it. I mean, that's it. It's not superhero shit. It's all it is. So nobody's walking around Superman.
It's easy to sit in. Last night we went to dinner, one of the restaurants in the hotel, and there's some amazing restaurants in this hotel. The service was spot on. The steak was perfect. Cool. We heard one of the bartenders say to the other bartender, "Sir, I'm going to go run to the kitchen." So I said to the other guy, "Oh, it must be he works for you?" He goes, "No, that's my boss calling me sir." Like they just had this, like everything was like smooth and perfect and professional, right? And if you or I jump back there, we'd be tripping over bottles and, hand me this. Which one of those is, cognac? I don't know. And they know what they're doing. They do it every single day. The problem is most people go out. Most people don't do any training. And then those that do, they go to a class like John's or something a couple times a year. And then super weirdos like people we meet every summer, they go to 3 or 4 classes. That's a very weird human. Yeah. And I was one of them. I did it for, 1,200 hours or something. It's a very bizarre thing. And then you get somebody, my friend Les Keys Martoni, I talk about all the time. He was a software engineer. He ended up as the #1 production guy in IDPA, won the national championship at one point. I think he was the Carry Optics or one of those things. Nice. One of the first guys shooting USPSA inside the waistband. He got me shooting Berettas, by the way. But anyway, he called it Chasing the Dragon. Where these guys, he'd be in meetings and he'd have dry fire guns. He'd silence his phone. He'd be in meetings with his day job, with targets all over the wall.
Awesome.
almost ruined his relationship with his wife.
yes.
I mean, it's like that's what you have to do
Yeah.
to win.
Right.
And he became a national champion.
Right.
Wasn't paid a dime for it and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, most people are never going to do that. So what do I really have to be capable of, right? You can't go to a weekend. I can't send her to a weekend seminar to learn self-defense and protect herself from one of you grown men. If she spent 10 years training every day, you could still go, right? It's a fact. I have friends that are world champion female fighters,
Yep.
and I can protect myself from them. They can't just walk all over me. And that's the challenge is people are looking for little simple things that they can take this magic lightsaber thing and stop bad guys. It doesn't work. So that's where we get all these tap rack.
Yep.
How can the most people, common denominator training, have some tools, thumbs forward, whatever the shit is? How can I pass on a body of knowledge in 8, 10, 16, 40 hours, just like when you're in the academy,
Yep.
that it's enough stuff that it can work, but then this guy's got to go practice it.
Yeah, the
And that's
practices.
the shooting sports stuff. Ron Avery, deceased, God rest him, he called it bloodless combat. Ron was one of the top pistol shooters on the planet when he was alive. There's guys like Travis Haley who have completely just taken what he's done and turned it into their program. And then you go older, Jim Cirillo, New York Stakeout Squad. Those guys all were pistol shooters. One of my mentors, Bob Housingate, police chief from Comanche, Iowa, who works with Moss for the last 50 years. Midwest Training Group, I think, is the name of their company. He was like a 6-time national champion.
Right.
That guy could shoot aspirins with a J-frame from 50 yards and stuff.
Crazy stuff, right?
He
Yeah.
took my J-frame once at like 40 yards upside down with his pinky finger and shot all headshots. Went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just, to do it.
So, and that's another good point. Somebody who's really good at competition, well, I guess a better analogy would be, you can be really good at driving a car, and then you go get in a car accident, and if you've never practiced or thought mentally or physically gone through any kind of like EVOC, like we go through law enforcement or even defensive driving, you maybe not be as prepared for that. You could get lucky, but you might not be as prepared for that. Well, if you're mentally prepared for it, and then obviously multiple accidents, you're going to have some experience there. Then you could be better prepared for it. Somebody who's really good with a gun in competition goes and gets in a gunfight, they're going to be most likely better prepared than the average person who just takes a class, gets a gun, throws it in their holster, maybe goes hunting once or twice a year, right? So that competition portion does give you a base, a base structure of it. And I guess another analogy or another focus would be marksmanship versus defensive, right? You get the marksmanship side of it, where you're out there shooting long range shots. You're really good with the gun. You know how the gun works. You can, breath control, trigger press, all that stuff. That doesn't necessarily fully transfer over to the defensive side, but you know how the gun works. So you're not looking at where's the safety? Hang on, bad guy, right?
Do you have an argument that competitive shooting could be detrimental to defensive shooting?
I would say I say maybe some aspects of it could be in the sense of, the guns are tricked out, so it's not going to be the same. I mean, you could walk around with a $5,000 staccato if you wanna, but why would you want to spend $5,000 on a gun that's going to go into evidence if you get into a gunfight? Now you got another $5,000 one sitting at home that you got to strap
you're
on.
alive.
That's true.
I got a Marine
That's
Corps
true.
buddy that says I will take any mechanical advantage that I can get. Mm-hmm. And that
that's fair.
makes sense. Like a red dot, a light,
Right.
whatever,
Yep.
a compensator. I shoot a bone stock pistol for the most part, not even because of
What brand?
I shoot Glocks. I shot SIGs for years. I broke so many of them. I love Beretta. I've been a 92 guy before it was cool
Yeah.
again. But the Glock.
Pretty cool. Mantis Titan X helps shooters suck less. Use this to dry fire, shoot at doorknobs, light switches, and safely shoot at pictures of relatives on the wall that you don't like. Pretty cool. Check them out. Give them your business. Shoot straight, stay safe.
Talking about the competition stuff, nobody ever said, I wish I shot slower. I don't mean just sending bullets. But
Right,
nobody's
right.
like, I wish I was a slower shooter. I wish my split times were greater. I wish I was less accurate.
Right.
Like nobody says I wish I was less. I mean, I wish I was weaker. I wish I was, like nobody says those.
Right.
Things.
That's valid.
Where did defensive shooting come from in its modern form? Cooper created IPSC, the old leather slap competitions.
Yep.
Weaver and Chapman and all those guys were like lawmen or
The OG.
cowboy types going, how fast can you do it? How fast? Let's see who's
competition.
better.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right. And then the competition drives.
Drove it. That's
drives
valid.
excellence.
That's valid. Yeah, I mean, I guess I like that as far as the mechanical advantage side of it.
Let me have one more thing there really quick.
Sure.
You go to any special operations guy. This is how my brain works. Who does things the best? Army's CAG, right? The Navy's,
Navy SEALs.
Yeah, the Navy's out on the East Coast in Virginia Beach. Who do they go to learn how to shoot pistols? They go to Mid-South. They go to Shaw's school. Who does the big city SWAT teams that have the budget? Where do they send their guys? They go out to Shaw. They have Mitchell. They have Latham. They have Todd Jarrett and these guys. They don't go to me and you.
Not
You ever guys go ahead and load my gun? They go to guys that have
And do your press check.
JJ Racaza, Max Michel. These guys,
because they're doing it. They know how to wield the gun.
They've got they are pushing the boundaries of human performance, and so the guys that are going into harm's way with intent to kill people have to have the best skills. They're going to learn to drive. She got me a gift certificate for my birthday to go to Bobby Orr's driving school.
Nice.
Who's Bobby teach? Special operations dudes.
I mean, evac stuff.
He's teaching people how to do the evasive driving. He can handle a car better than, who's the Secret Service go learn from? Same dude.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll throw it back at you then. Is there a point where it becomes too much? Or it becomes, like you were saying, like stupid or gaudy or, doing press checks too much weird?
But there's no reason for that, right? Like if you're doing that, what's the desired end state? Why am I training with this pistol?
Stay alive.
Yeah, I want
defensively.
I want to go home to my wife, my family, my boyfriend David, whatever. This thing does nothing but help me extend my will a little farther, right? It helps me reach out and touch somebody. Or
portable hole puncher.
Yeah, right. It's more energy than my fist can muster. That 385-pound guy last night, you or me, if we spent 30 years training martial arts, I mean, he could just go and smash your head, which is a very disconcerting thing. So everything I'm doing, and then you know this better than most anybody as a cop, you could do all the right things, and in a second, you just slip. There's 2 officers from my county, deputies, that died at basically ambush situations, and I'm in a suburb of Chicago out in the country where they were just wrong place, wrong time, and somebody was able to put a round into them. They're lengthy stories, but I think both of them had backgrounds in the Ranger Regiment, if memory serves. So these guys knew stuff, right? But it was so like if everything I'm doing doesn't support. So your point about can it be too much? Sure, if all I'm doing is trying to run the gun fast, but I drive 50 to 60,000 miles a year. I've never had a highway accident, a roadway accident.
Wow.
I took out my tail light against my mailbox the other day backing in because my awareness was somewhere else. $1,500 tail light on my truck and had to fix the mailbox. And, like you could go do everything right. And then Super Dave Harrington says, everything's important, everything matters, do the right thing at the right time every time. He ran range 37 for the U.S. Army.
Yeah, I'll say, you could have the best plan in the world and like John Farnham's stupid checklist, don't go to stupid place with stupid people, stupid times, stupid things, I add, or your life will become stupid. You can do all that right, it doesn't matter because bad guys, it's not like the olden days, right? It's not duel at high noon, 30 paces and draw. It's unfair. They have the advantage. They have all the benefits on their side, right? So there's no ref, there's no ring, there's no timer, there's no rules, there's no cage. I like to say that to my students. So you practice all you want, have the training the best you can. If the shit hits the fan, hopefully it works out. Simple as that. I mean, there's nothing else. There's no magic formula other than make sure you have good training. Make sure the equipment works right, and then when the crap hits the fan, pray to God that it all falls into place because what else is there? Right?
We humans want sure things. It's like you go to your investment guy and you're like, but tell me I'm going to make a lot of money and not lose it. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Can't do that.
So what does a good investment guy do? He studies as much as he can. He spreads it out across. yeah, you don't put everything's not just the gun.
Right.
I've got physical skills. I've
Absolutely.
got verbal skills. I've got the ability to swallow my pride and say sorry, man.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
or-
like if you're out there and a guy looks at you, so what are you looking at my woman for? You say, I thought I had the same sweater as you.
I actually had that happen at SHOT Show.
Well, you acted gay, so you get out of a fight?
No, but there was a couple dudes that just last night.
Last night?
Was it yesterday? And I don't mind admitting it, but like somebody said something very off color as we walked by, and I said, "For real?" Like it wasn't. I didn't say,
Yeah.
"Hey, mother effer."
Right,
I was
right,
just
right.
like it's.
And then after you said for real, you're like, fuck, I got to practice what I
but I
preach.
mean, at what point though do you just
Let it go
say
and- yeah,
nothing?
yeah.
And that's
It's
a
valid.
woman. It's
That's valid.
for broad daylight.
Right,
I
it's a
I didn't,
balance.
I didn't say I'm going to kill you or
Right.
I'm going to rip your head off. I was
That's
just like,
excessive.
Yeah, I mean there's got to be some manners.
For
And
sure.
so the guys,
Because they'll just keep doing it. They
dude
think they can get away with
lies,
it.
lies and says I was looking at that lady's stupid pants. And I just said, whatever, man. He goes, I forgive you, mother effer. I forgive you. And I said, good. I just walked away. But I
That's
should have
good,
said
though,
nothing.
Well, yeah,
Because-
but sometimes, we're men, right? And we want to stand up for our wives and girlfriends and stuff.
There's got to be right.
I don't have a girlfriend. I have a wife.
That leads into some topics from your video there. No lawyer will say to the one that like a month ago.
See, I told you, he's your fanboy.
I watched the video. I think I watched it like in the airport.
Was
And I
this
said,
the-
and I'm like, we need to get Mickey on.
What were we talking about?
Essentially, if you use your firearm, your world's going to change.
And it doesn't have to. So I was with my friends from CCW Safe, and there's this thing that we tell people: you got the criminal, and then you got the civil side. Owners of CCW Safe have represented more people than anybody in that space in real cases.
Didn't know that.
Because they're rabid about protecting their clients. That said, none of them have ever become a civil case. Every single one of them they've squashed, unless the person was literally a criminal, and then they can't represent them. But if it was a legitimate self-defense case, they've beat the case, and then there has been no civil claim. He did tell me there was one person that was threatening, so they're like, here's a little bit of money, go away.
Yeah.
But not a single time. So I guess that's actually pretty rare.
Yeah, it is.
But the criminal side comes up like crazy.
Wow. Well, and for people that are watching and listening, so the barred beyond a reasonable doubt is a criminal aspect. Preponderance of the evidence is that civil aspect. And you see it. I'll use the example of O.J. Simpson, and something after I interviewed George Zimmerman, I came up with the 4 horses of your apocalypse. So criminal, civil, mental, and jury of public opinion. And when you have all those aspects, like O.J. Simpson went through all those, right? So charged criminally, glove didn't fit, he's acquitted. O.J. didn't win because he was innocent. He won because he had good attorneys. The jury. I've been on a jury. I've worked in the courts. It's not about that. It's about how good of an attorney you have, how much money you have. If you ain't got the money to defend yourself in court, then maybe you should not be poking the bear, stoking the fire, as I like to say. But OJ went through all 4 of those aspects. His first got sued civilly, lost everything he owned, went cuckoo, got taken away again, came back out, and then I'll ask students in the class who thinks OJ Simpson's guilty, and almost every single person in the class hands goes up, and I go, that's the jury of public opinion.
Right.
He was found not guilty in a criminal court, but yet people still think he's guilty, right, in the third court.
Which ruins your life.
Absolutely.
Your ability to get a job.
And George Zimmerman. We had dinner with him 2 years ago, and he legally changed his name. He legally changed his name to Pablo Escobar.
Did he really?
No, I'm kidding. He did change his name, but it's not Pablo
His
Escobar.
attorney, Don Zimmerman,
Yep.
is CCW Safe's lead
Yep.
legal counsel, and Don's a buddy of mine. But yeah, you go to that moment. I've talked to people involved in those situations. Kyle Rittenhouse. We interviewed their people after the acquittal, and take it all back. Farnham's point earlier: don't be in these places. Would you have gone back there? Stan Campbell from CCW Safe over drinks the other night said, basically like his thought process. And this is a lifer cop from Oklahoma City. Would you act the same way without a gun on you as you would with a gun, or whatever the situation is? If it could lead to violence, is this tool going to allow you to maybe act a little more stupid, or because now you just open up a can of worms?
Should be the other way.
Yeah, it should be.
You got the gun on you, you're like, I don't want to have an altercation.
Right.
I want to make sure that because you might be in a fight with somebody who doesn't have a gun, and then they're going to say, well, could you have not done that? Well, but then you don't know. You might be in a fight with somebody with a knife, which sucks, or somebody with a gun, Now you're right. Now you're in a gunfight with somebody else with a gun. It's just never a good outcome. It's always that, what is your, like what you said, what is your purpose? My perfect purpose is self-preservation. I want to go home to my family. I want to be there. And,
there's plenty of hard asses in this space. Whatever. Friend of mine, Andy Stump, name dropping. One day we were talking, and we were talking because some guy did some violent stuff that we were listening to a discussion on, and they were pretty flippant about it. And he said, and Andy's done real life things in the SEALs. He said, taking life is not to be trifled with. And he was just saying, like, there's
profound.
Even if, like, in that position, like, there was nobody judging him unless he did something against the military code of justice and all that. But like, this stuff goes with you, and you can act like a hard ass even if there's no court stuff and all that.
And if we go back to the 4 horses that I came up with, he's not going to be charged criminally unless he goes against the code. Civilly, he ain't going to be sued. They don't know who the hell did it. Right?
Yeah.
Then the jury of public opinion, well, nobody's going to be after you, like you just said. But that mental portion,
I gotta close my eyes at night and think about what I've done.
Yeah, like Masad Ayub says, you'll have sleepless nights, you'll have night terrors, and then there's the mark of Cain. Your friends and family will disown you, and your friends and family will distance themselves from you.
Yeah,
yeah. So it's pretty profound.
You're a psycho.
Yeah, for sure.
I
am. You are.
No, I just mean like that.
Yeah, you could be.
Yeah, what the heck?
Right. I mean, it's trauma. The human brain isn't necessarily designed for that. It's hard for the human brain to comprehend what you went through. One thing that was profound to me that really hit me, and I usually don't get rattled too much, but October 7th, right? I mean, like, you don't know, like, kids, babies being head stepped on and put in microwaves and blown up, killed, microwaved. Like, and I came up with a statement after that. I said, we live in a civilized world, but not everybody in the world is civilized.
Sure.
And it's scary. It's a...
My friend Jared Reston has a shirt. Jared was shot 7 times. First round entered his face, exited out his neck. He shot and killed the attacker. I think he hit the guy 13 times with 40 cal. And he's been involved in other shootings after that. He has a shirt that says, to love a good woman and kill a bad man is a life well lived, something to that effect. And he's not being a smart ass. Like, his thought is, he'll say, some men need killing. And it's not, I think too often in the space of like concealed carriers, it's only go find them. I don't want to go find these guys. But in that situation, a school shooting. We were with one of the fathers who lost his daughter in Parkland a couple nights ago. Once I'm listening to his story, man, I just hugged him. It was just like, shit, we got kids of our own. It chokes me up just thinking about it.
For sure.
Like, to be in that situation down in Texas, yeah, man, somebody needs to be killed now.
Yeah, it's evil.
Yeah, there's not chatting or...
Right.
Hey, put that gun down. Stop killing kids.
Right. Yeah. You can't sing kumbaya to them. You need to stop like we do. When you arrive, law enforcement arrives to an active killer event, active shooter event, active killer, whatever you want. I like to call it active killer. I focus on what they're doing, not what tool they're using. Originally, back in the day, we'd show up and it'd be let's wait for shots. Yeah, secure the scene. Let's wait for SWAT to get here. Well, people were dying at that point, and then it moved to first officer on scene, go in, stop the killing. And now it's kind of progressed to go in, but then also maybe have paramedics, EMTs behind you to spin off to stop the dying, because you're running by, somebody squirting out,
and that's how a lot of these.
I'm not here. I'm not here. Yeah, exactly. Well, if we look back at all the wars we've had, all right, and the majority of people died from bleeding out.
Yeah.
And now you see people walking around with prosthetics left and right. Why? Tourniquet.
Yeah,
right?
They didn't die.
Yeah, they didn't die.
They didn't die.
Yeah, something stopped the blood from coming out of their body, because that blood's going to kill them. Or the other one was infection, but that can be fixed down time. Can't fix it if they're out a lot of blood.
Yeah.
But this is good stuff. This is really good stuff. It was thought provoking. This could be a whole freaking panel on its own. Just the stuff we've been talking about, the myths of the gun world or something.
Are they though? I mean,
or how about the contemplation of different ways of doing things, or some come up with some kind of thing.
Coach Lou Holtz, Notre Dame's famous little 3-word "What's important now." You've heard of him say that.
I think so.
Win. What's important now? You'd say this to the players. What's important now?
Yeah.
And you can take this to go to bed on time because I've got to meet the guys tomorrow for the podcast, or drag my sights back to the target, keep hitting, scan for threats, top the gun off, breathe. It can be whatever. And I think too often we get too broad.
Right.
I need better sights. I got to stipple this thing. I need a better holster. Or how about you do some push-ups, bro? How about you don't eat the Pop-Tart? You know, like.
Hey, how'd you know I ate a Pop-Tart this morning?
You did not. They're not good for you.
No, they're terrible. That was one of the. There was a whole list of like. I saw it on Facebook news, right? That was one of the ones on there. It's terrible for you.
Don't eat that shit. No. Eat it the way God made it.
Chick-fil-A though. I do have chickens at Bees. And speaking of that, I do have a parting gift that you'll like. My spiky hair sticker.
What is the what's the chicken and the bee about? Tell me.
I have beehives. I'm a beekeeper. I have chickens. We had going into the fall 13 beehives. I've had up to 30 beehives at one time, and we had up to 70 chickens.
You might appreciate this. I worked on a bee farm in Savannah, Tennessee as a young man.
That's cool.
Dad's friend had a farm, and
fascinating.
He had a farm that had bees on it, and he sold it all through southwest Tennessee and northern Alabama. And I also raised thousands of chickens. I would butcher hundreds of them a year as a kid. This is funny.
Yeah, so.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. This is good. Hey, how can people find out about you? What's the best website to go to?
Carrytrainer.com, gunfightergunoil.com, Ignis Lux.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the lube or the coffee.
Made in America lubricant. Best synthetic lube on the market. We got cleaner, we got a grease. It won't hurt you, but it keeps your gun protected. Packaging, labeling, everything is USA made. The machines that we bottle on, we've done as much work as we can to only buy USA products.
Cool.
Coffee, single origin coffee that we roast in house and package. It's actually been like a labor of love. It's cathartic, and we've been selling that for the last couple of years. That's pretty fun.
Very cool.
And then, of course, carrytrainer.com, training, merchandise, and professional dick jokes.
I did see that on his Facebook and such. Hey, check him out. Give him your business.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David.
It was fun.
There's lots of sponsors that make this show possible. Like Mantis, Next Level Training, Blake Henry,
XS Sites.
Check them out and give them your business.
Meet the Pressers is brought to you by Mantis. Mantis X helps shooters suck less. Next Level Training. Makers of CERT training products. Henry Repeating Arms. Made in America or not made at all. XS Sights. Fast sights in any light. Meet the Pressers is also brought to you by these fine companies, shows, organizations, and our Patreon members. Thank you.
Thanks for watching the show.
Make sure you like, subscribe, share, and click that little bell thingy so you know when the next episode's coming out. Support us on Patreon. Come to one of our classes. Host us to come to you and do one of our classes at your location.
And until next time,
adieu.
Thank you for watching Meet the Pressers.